All right. Britton?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Britton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right. Let's review the strategic plan.
Absolutely. So this is kind of the first time that we've done this, but July marks the start of a school year for us. And I've been working with ISB and actually just also looking out to a number of other schools on what are some best practices. And in 23-24 school year, is my first year here, we brought in a lot of different stakeholder groups to really find out what were some things that they really wanted within their experience in Ogden. Employees, students, and parents. And then ultimately through that work, we worked with a third party. This was ultimately generated. And I think it's really just, I think it would be wise for us as a start for every board meeting just to go back and periodically kind of look at maybe the vision statement or look at some desired daily experiences or maybe a district priority and try and draw connections to the work that you guys are doing at the board table and how that really is driving the strategic plan. So that is my hope, is that we will start moving forward, kind of a new process here. But I think it would be a good process for us just to kind of center our work and why we do what we do and why you guys are here. So I will actually just bring these to you guys every time if you guys have any questions about that. But would anybody be willing to read the vision statement tonight?
I will.
Yeah.
The Ogden Community School District is committed to being a destination district, emphasizing student success in a safe, nurturing environment, and ensuring students have the character and competencies needed for tomorrow's opportunities.
Okay, I love it. Yeah. A good reminder of why we're here. Thank you.
I like that.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Mr. Heyer, do you have anything you wanted to point out there?
So there was a number of our coaching. They would be the non-certified fall, and when I say non-certified, that would be our community coaches for the fall and the winter season. This is typically what we would do at this time. So we're excited. We're glad to have those individuals returning and filling those positions.
If nobody has any questions or comments, I'll take a motion to approve that. Let's do the consent agenda items as
Second.
Britton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Okay, so on to action items. 2027-28 elementary programming plan. Do you mind if I tee this up for you just a
Sure.
little bit
Yeah,
before?
absolutely.
I do want Mr. Heyer to explain everything to you, but I just wanted to say, and I know many of you guys have, and us have talked about this, but this did go through committee. So the curriculum committee met last Monday, and had a pretty lengthy conversation about it. Actually, I just personally want to say that this is one of the first phone calls I got, like when I got on the board, was just the lack of things we were able to offer, like those early learners. And I think it's kind of been on the radar forever, right? But it just never really, we could never make it work, wouldn't you say? And I just know that these two have worked incredibly hard to make the stars align and to make choices that proactively put us in a position where we are able to offer this to the community. I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's fair to say, like, we believe that this is a need that the community needs, but also wants. Like, the community has expressed, I know both of us, that this is something that they want, and we believe that it's something they need also. So we're really excited to be able to do this, and I'll let you more in detail explain what we're doing here.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That was a great start. If you guys remember, we had a work session back in February, and we just started to explore some possible options. And I think we're looking at programming, what the needs are of our community, as well as can we financially create a sustainable program. And through that work, there was some follow-up. We needed to follow up with some community partners. We started to really investigate the financial impacts of these things. And through that, Amy and I have had conversations, and we presented last Monday to Instructional Subcommittee a recommendation which would be a TK hybrid full-day pre-K program, We think that that's the best option to create a sustainable program. In essence, what that is it's your TK kids are your kids that just aren't quite ready for kindergarten. Maybe they are developmentally just not quite ready for it, or they may be even a younger birthday. They would be considered a kindergarten student. In essence, from the state's perspective, they're saying that they're repeating kindergarten, but it may be that TK is almost filling some of those prerequisite skills to get them ready for that kindergarten level. Having a standalone TK program with a school our size, it is not a sustainable option. So we really looked at other models of other schools about our size that are doing it, and what they do is they actually open up for TK, find out how many students that need is, and then they backfill with pre-K. We already have AM and PM pre-K. We have a community partner pre-K. But there's a need for some full-day pre-K options, and that's what we would backfill. Financially, we get for the TK equivalent to a full student. For the pre-K, the state of Iowa would give us half a student. And then what we would do at a later time, and my rationale for a later time, we would figure out what the fee structure for that other half that they would be there for is. I want to see if there's a data set out there across the state of Iowa to figure out an appropriate amount to charge our families. We kind of have an idea on what we think to balance and make it financially sustainable, but I also want to make that sure that recommendation that I make to you guys probably in November timeframe, so that we can get that information out to our families, that I've done a little bit more legwork and research, and that we are doing something that we need financially, but also what our families can also afford. I think that number is probably going to be in the $200 to $400 range, and I don't know if it's going to be that's a wide range for us on a monthly basis, but in order for me to narrow that range down, I need to do some research. So I'm excited. This would be for the 27-28 school year, and it just coincides with we're actually having the construction that would allow us the ability and the space for that if you guys were to move forward and approve this recommendation. So again, the recommendation that I'm making based off of the work that we have done would be a hybrid TK / full day pre-K for the 27-28 school year.
And obviously it seems early, but I mean, there is we would need to open up registration in January.
Yes.
We think. So that would be, I mean, in order to do that, we have to have the FTE to be able to hire somebody. So we have to, all that stuff. So it's just you kind of have to go backwards. And that's why we're starting here with just that. So what questions do you have?
With the new remodel of that building, what space would the TK be in?
So right now the TK is slated to be in one of the kindergarten classrooms. But with the new remodel, we are creating a new kindergarten room. So there would be 2 pre-K TK rooms, and then there will be 3 kindergarten sections, all in that north wing, if you will. So, and all of the rooms will be equivalent in size and experience, bathroom facilities, all of that. That was determined when we were finalizing the plans for the remodel. And the nice thing about this is if for some reason the board doesn't approve this recommendation, and or if in the future there's no longer a need for TK, that room simply becomes another appropriate room for whatever the needs are of the community at that time. So it does create a lot of flexibility for the TK, kindergarten, first grade, whatever that room needs would be in the future.
So fiscally, it's about money-wise, it's even, if I remember right.
Depends what we charge.
It's
for
really the
tuition.
charge.
Yeah.
Yep. But yes, we have figured that out. In our calculations, I put a teacher FTE with their health benefits, with all of the benefits that we provide, and an associate. That number, then we started to backtrack based off of how many kids are in TK, how many kids are in pre-K, and then the portion that families would be paying And you put all of those three different calculations together, and we believe that it would be a cost-neutral program. But again, I can't tell you exactly what that number is per month. I want to do a little bit more research on that.
And that's obviously a guess, right? Because, like, we don't know if we'll have a waiting list or if people will, or if we won't fill up. I mean, we don't know.
If
But, like,
it's remotely close.
right.
Or
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
The service or the community is,
Yeah.
Right.
And reality is, if you capture one kid that's maybe might go to another school district for 13 years, I mean, it pays for itself. So it's like, you just need one every other year, really.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember in February, we did some longitudinal back information, and we think that that need is somewhere in the 5 to 7 range. I think we'll find out in January if it's approved and everybody registers, but I do think that there's a need beyond just one. I think that there is actually a higher need for that.
So, we looked at models as far as, potential cuts in the near future, medium future, distant, not right away, but is this something that if we get into it and it's not working out and the numbers just aren't working, is this something that we can easily pivot and not paint ourselves in a corner?
My response is there's an exit strategy. I hope that we never have to execute that exit strategy, but yes, I think that there is an off-ramp, if you will.
Yep.
And plenty of tweaks to be made, too. Like, within, like, especially just this framework, like, there are plenty of ways you can manipulate it even still before, when you get the numbers and all kinds of things, so.
So I just don't want to get us to a point where we're painting ourselves in a corner.
Right.
And
Right.
when we do, if we ever do, have to make some cuts that, now we're stuck holding the bag.
Right.
So if we can avoid that at the front end, it's going to do us a favor on the back end.
Right.
That's the only questions I have.
Okay. How about you two?
I don't have any questions. I think it sounds like a great program. Anybody else have any questions?
Good. Good.
Then
Cool.
Did you want to add anything more?
Kelly covered it. I think it's great.
I will make a motion to approve an increase of 1.0 FTE certified staffing at Ogden Elementary for the 27-28 school year to implement a hybrid full-day PK transitional kindergarten classroom.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, this one's not quite as fun, Mr. Hire.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of year again where we get our property insurance renewal. So we work with Hans Baum. Is Bain? Bain. Yep. I should know that, but Hans. And in your guys' board packet, he was able to really break out what the 25 fiscal year was and what our renewal is for 26. I had a further conversation with him for property liability auto insurance renewal, and you guys probably have already done the work, but it was a 9% increase from last year. But yet, over the last 4 years, our claims for Ogden have actually been considerably low. He just says this is kind of where the market is. There's been some devastation as far as weather in the state of Iowa. And even though it isn't necessarily in Ogden, the insurance companies are ultimately getting their portion. So there is one that I actually wasn't sure what it was. It was marine land.
I was just going to say, inland marine is actually what they write builder's risk under.
Yes.
So that's our construction builder's risk insurance. It's
So-
the inland marine.
Hence the reason why it's significant increase, because we needed to ensure in case there was damage during construction, we were covering those construction pieces of equipment. Once that is complete, that will go away. And he said basically we're that portion, that 2,000, that's a full year, but we will only end up probably using 2 or 3 months of it. So we will get a portion of that back, prorated for whatever that percentage is. So ultimately, we need to have insurance, and I think that would be, even though it's a $23,000 increase, it's something that we need.
Can you remind me, does this get paid out of the general fund?
No.
Or no? It gets paid out of-
Management.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's not unlike the health insurance that we've been over. I don't know what those percent increases were, but might have been more than that, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
it
So
was.
it's,
It was double digits.
yeah. Just kind of the way of the world anymore.
If there's nothing else, anybody? I move to approve the property and liability insurance renewal paying insurance for $272,765.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay. Cell tower ground lease.
Yeah, so outside our door here to the right, we actually have a cell tower. Melissa got a phone call probably a couple weeks.
Kelly got a phone call, and then Kelly
forwarded
called
it.
her and said, "Is this spam?" I said, "No, actually, this is real. We need to renew our cell tower
Yeah,
lease."
our lease was
Yeah.
set to expire. Melissa can kind of take it, but ultimately it's a 5-year auto renewing, and we needed to renew that lease. The dollars that are generated from that go into the general budget, so it is a good revenue source. Melissa probably has a little bit more of the back end, and also kind of what that contract looks like. If you want to add anything.
Yeah, no. So it's we'll get calls every once in a while. People will want to buy out your lease and do a one-time payment. And I'm like, but we've been in this contract for 25 years, and we're renewing it for another 30. $1,100 a month is really good cash flow for us in the general fund. So it's something that we just get a check every month for them letting them have a cell tower on our property.
Do they want to put a second cell phone?
Yeah,
Would
right.
you
Like
People do complain about the service in this town.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But
Well, then I'll move to approve the first amendment to the ground lease with 80 ILC Hooker, Iowa LLC.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yep. Okay, then a whole bunch of policies. And I think these were just mostly corrections and
Well, so about this time, ISB, Iowa Association of School Board, they will actually look at what legislation had passed and what implications that has for policy. And then they create a policy primer, and then we go through, Melissa goes through it, kind of vets through what are the required changes per law. There was a lot this year. There was a lot of legislative changes that impacted education, and I think there's 30 different policies that have been adjusted that are either new, some were rescinded, that they're no longer needed, and then there were some that were just changed. Specifically, I'd like to point out there was a bill that we're working through with some student discipline for disruptive behavior in the classroom. That was a bill that is impacting a number of these policies. There was a healthy bill, which really kind of talks about student health, and in that was screen time for students, physical activity that they needed to do, as well as some dyes and those types of things. So there was a number of things. The policy doesn't talk about it, but that overall bill did. 8th grade eligibility, I kind of referenced that before. There was, I think, 1 or 2 bills that addresses with that. And then I guess the last one that I'd like to mention would be E-Verify. That's required now for new employees moving after July 1. So if we were to set a recommendation, we need to go through that and the background checks and those processes. So again, we can go through each policy if needed, but ultimately they are required due to legislative changes.
Well, my observation on it was the rescinding of the multicultural gender equitable education. I was pleased with that. And the global education rescind. Now, I'm assuming that means that ain't no more.
That's correct.
Okay, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be based on.
I mean, that was legislative.
It was legislatively, so all schools will probably be going through this similar process right now and rescinding those bills,
Yeah.
or excuse me, those policies.
So state law says we have to resend them. Is that accurate?
State law says you don't have to
That's what I
require them anymore.
Yeah.
You could leave them in.
So is that something, if that is what, in order to be, quote, under code, is that something that as a board you say, well, we want to make sure we don't teach that? Is that correct? Or-
No, so right now, it's those two board policies have, at the very bottom, there's like a legal cross-reference, which almost, I think, word for word, we looked it up one time, word for word, the previous state code said, you know, whatever the board policy said about having that multicultural gender fair education. I believe they've just struck that from Iowa code, so it's no longer legally required to have those.
Mhm. That didn't answer my question.
So you could still have them. It's not going against the law. You would just be saying you're still
No, I'm just.
doing that.
Yeah, I mean, but as a board, do we want to make that statement that we don't want to go that route?
I
Yeah.
see.
You know what I'm saying? And make
Which
sure
is-
that the teachers didn't. And that's.
Yeah, I would say since I've been on the superintendent, whatever ISB's recommendations are as far as rescinding has usually been best practices, and that's been the recommendations that we make to the board to align to that association.
Okay.
So hence the reason for the rescinding. Now, if it is ever an area where the board is very passionate about, one of the things that your roles as a board member is creating and approving policy. Our attorneys and guidance probably would say not to really dabble with that too much as far as veering too far off of those.
And maybe this is not the time to discuss it, but and then the technology and instructional materials one for grades kindergarten through 5, the 1 hour. A wonderful adjustment. And I guess maybe I needed an answer of why did they have to step in and implement that law? Is it because we abused it? Do we overuse computer technology in the classroom?
Yeah, I think when we say we, I think that's a pretty broad brushstroke.
Yeah.
Because Amy and I have actually went to a training specifically regarding that, and we think that our teachers are pretty intentional with their usage of screen time. And if we were to do an audit, and we're going to have to do that because the law now states 60 minutes, but we think that we're actually fairly close to that already. So I think the thing that I would say is our instructional practices, we want to make sure when we are incorporating and using technology that it is very intentional and there is a direct purpose behind it. Rather than if we want to use the broad brushstroke, I think sometimes it's been used inappropriately in some schools.
Right.
Hence the reason why they are stepping in and stating 60 minutes.
Well, in my experience in teaching, it is an absolute headache as a teacher, with the Chromebooks. I mean, it is a constant battle, and it's just never ending. So, I mean, to start, we keep telling the kids less and less technology, but I've seen it in, not just in here, but in Boone, a lot of technology within the classroom. It's like saying now, we want you to eat all the donuts you want in school, but when you get home, you're on a diet, buddy. So I think we're setting up some good standards that says, let's just cool it. So, well, I was glad to see it. I mean, and I realized the legislature just had to take control. So.
I may be speaking out of school here, but doesn't research support what Earl's saying as far as maybe there's some diminishing returns when it comes to when most schools went 1-to-1 and they're finding out through research that maybe
I really think in the math skills, it's to use for the elementary to use a computer. There's nothing like flashcards and paper and pen, period. And to have a math skill set on your computer, and every time you get something right, a dancing fairy comes out and throws up stars. And then you see in middle school all of a sudden all of our math scores go to pot, because I mean that's the worst dip in the whole. Because elementary is fairly good, and there's no dancing clowns in junior high. It's straight up math. Okay, you're gonna do some algebra, boy. It's got to be done right. So a little story on math. This had nothing to do with it. I just have to share this. I attended 3 graduations parties, and when I go up to introduce them and say congratulations, the first thing I ask is, what's 9 times 7? So 3 honor students, only 1 knew the answer. So that scared me. I mean, I was like, whoa, One looked like I just asked her to just explain the Pythagorean theory or something very complicated. One guessed 62 and one guessed 63, or knew that 63. So I was a little distraught for a month until I had Kit pals. I said, he was out swimming and fishing with his family. What 9 times 7? 63. I said, well, how come you think that some high school and the other kids don't know that? And he said, they weren't paying attention. I thought, out of the mouth of babes, we just got the truth. So I mean, I would love to see math taken out of, if you needed to eliminate minutes.
This is changing subject, but on one of the policies. It's expenditures for a public purpose, and it talks about all school employees have to be able to accurately articulate the public purpose served by such an expenditure. This is brand new, is that right? And
we had public purpose, so that would be 901, I think is what you're referencing.
It says code number 705.4. Is that what you're...
705, let me look at it. We've always had a public purpose statement. What they did is they struck through some of the language. 75.4. Yeah, it says state employees need to clearly articulate the public purpose. So
yeah, like, are we worried about that, or that's okay? Got it.
I'm not worried about it.
We should be able to say why
clearly.
Well, it says all school employees, so every single teacher, every single person.
No, I think it's like if you put in a requisition for something, you have to be able to defend your own requisition if it ever came under question.
I thought it meant every school employee has it. I was like, how in the world are we going to? Okay, got it.
But with that being said, though, our teachers are putting in purchase order requests, and we should be able to say, the request that you're wanting in your classroom, what is the intent behind that, and does it serve public purpose?
Yes, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't think the state's coming in like with,
I know, I would
like
apply
the
to
cooks. Like, why is the chemistry department spending this money?
Yes, that makes more sense. Yeah.
All right, Earl, I tend to agree with you. I've seen the research too about, but I just want to say, like, especially in elementary, like, they're really not, like, just having elementary students, and like Harper Lynn Merritt can answer that question because they're still doing multiplication time tests at the school, and she brings them home sometimes every day, at least a couple of times a week she does, where they,
I'm 71 and I get to use algebra in life, but I use multiplication and division every week.
I mean, you remember, you got to do fast and then done. Like they're still doing it, so I love to see it.
Well, Kip said they were.
Yep, they are. All right, anybody else with anything? We're good for, wait, did I cut you off?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you did not.
Okay, sorry. All right, do you guys want to go ahead and clean up those policies then?
I will make a motion for the first reading of above listed policies, which will be listed out in minutes, and the first reading to rescind policy 603.4 and 603.10.
me a second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, so I assume there's no public comment. Amy? Okay, just wanted to give we'll bend the rules a little bit if you have something to say. Then as far as the board calendar, we've got, I know we're working y'all a lot the next few weeks, sorry, but so don't forget we've got that special meeting the 27th. Then the very next week, the work session, and then the very next week would be our regularly scheduled board meeting. And that's it, right? Just those.
That's
Am I
correct.
missing anything as far as that goes?
27th, 3rd, and 10th.
Yeah.
And those would be 6 o'clock.
Yeah, all of them.
10th would be the
The
regular,
regulars.
Oh.
Yeah.
regular August meeting.
Sorry.
So
Never mind.
the two outliers would be July 27th for the special meeting to review the contracts that were for the elementary project, and August 3rd would be a work session with ISB and the board.
Okay. I think we're down to you then.
Yeah, a couple just quick hitters here. As you guys have kind of probably seen, I just kind of color-coded a quick map of our parking lot project for you. Actually, that's a short one, so send those all over there. But ultimately, I just wanted to give you guys an update. We meet on every 2 weeks with the contractor as well as Bishop Engineering, and they give progress updates. I would say the pink portion that I provided you guys is the current status as of today. Looking at that, approximately, it's probably 65 to 70% done. And they are starting to move forward with that orange portion. They are still very optimistic that the project is on time and that it should be ready to go probably that first week in August at some time. Now, weather pending, you get a couple of rains and all of a sudden they can't be moving forward with some things.
Next 10 days is
Really pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a portion in the senior drive. I would point your direction to the left furthest area there, where through some of our work, they realized that they poured on the weather changed significantly for them, and the concrete mixture that they had ordered did not set well. There's some cracks in it. They're standing behind it, and they will be removing that portion before they release it back to us. So I just wanted to recognize there are a few community members that are really watching, and they want to make sure that we have a quality product. And I've had a few phone calls. Hey, want to give you an update. There are some cracks. So I appreciate that. But I also appreciate the contractor that we're working with, and he's standing behind his work, and that will be replaced. So. Any questions regarding the elementary, or not the elementary, excuse me, the high school parking lot?
It does look nice. It does. I mean, I've been nosy myself.
Yeah.
And tooled through there, so it does look nice.
I know they're trying to limit how long Southwest Fifth Street's closed, and that's probably the last portion, right? Before they're done.
They will do that, or they're talking about there's a small little orange dot that's our activities entrance. One of those is going to be the very last thing that they touch. I'm guessing that's probably going to be the week, the dead week, which would be the week of July 27th is probably when they're going to hit those areas. They anticipate probably shutting down that Southwest 5th for probably 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Last week I went and knocked on the door and I talked to all those homeowners, got some information. So once I get a firm date, I'll let the homeowners know, and then I'll also work with the city. But I believe the contractor is required to provide the road close signs and those types of things. But I have proactively reached out and knocked on doors to make sure that everybody is aware of the status.
Excellent.
Other thing is just we're accepting bids right now. We haven't received any yet, but I'm sure on July 21st around 2 o'clock, well, before 2 o'clock, we're going to be extremely busy. We had a pre-construction walkthrough at the elementary. We didn't have a whole lot of general contractors there, but we had a lot of subs that were looking at it with the intent of submitting their sub bid to a general contractor. So I'm really excited about July 21st and at 2 o'clock and opening those bids. Right now, I'm working with a few community members on bringing a guest speaker. Really, we have a couple people in the community that have been pretty passionate about suicide awareness and education. So just to give you guys a heads up that I'm working with them and bringing some additional programming and education to our students as well as our teachers. Working with our principals on pre-service start day. It seems that we've had a great summer, but it's actually ramping up. We're starting to kind of ramp up our planning and preparation and making sure that we're ready to go for those pre-service days. So we got a meeting tomorrow just to kind of brush up on a few things. For you guys' awareness, as well as maybe for our viewers here, we do have 2 associates that we're looking for to fulfill our associate positions for the upcoming school year. We went to last year an open interview. It's really kind of a meet and greet with Amy and Derek, and it went extremely well last year. So if you have somebody that's interested in employment and working for the district, those open interviews will be Thursday. Is that 9 to noon? Yep, at the elementary. And then the last thing would be is we're in the need of a bus driver. So we've been trying to hit social, spreading that word. But if you guys know of any possible leads or could also share that information, we may need to look at some creative ways to try and incentivize that.
Like a regular route bus driver?
Right now we have 5 routes and I think we have 4 drivers. I mean, we're in need. So, and not only that, then it also impacts because even our drivers, we could get down to 4. Denny could possibly hop in and do one, but then when we were to do an activity, they won't be able to leave until the buses return. And a lot of times we have JV events, junior high events that are starting at 4:30, and our buses aren't returning from routes until 4:15, 4:30. So we would, right now, we would obviously take somebody that would be a regular bus driver, but an activities driver, and I think Denny would be very receptive to some flexibility. So if somebody wouldn't be able to commit fully to that, I understand that's a huge commitment. But if they were wanting to serve the community, and it's a rewarding experience, and I think the pay is fair for the time commitment that they have in that. So if not, I may be coming to you guys in August with some options on how do we try and incentivize this to try and recruit some more people if we cannot get any more leads. So, any questions for me?
Regarding school busing, we bought a program that, what is it called? GPS?
Yeah, it's kind of a GPS kind of thing.
It's called Bus Right.
Yeah, I've never heard any kind of, has it been good, bad?
This mom loves it. So very worth it to this mom, but I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I think for twofold. I think our families are able to download the app and they're able to get either notifications on when the bus is within a certain map. So it might say the bus is 5 miles
It
away.
tells me exactly when I can expect the bus to get there, and then I always know where my kid is on the bus. I can see.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And for us internally, we can map and say these are all our locations that we need to go, figure out the most economical, maybe logistical route. So it is doing the analysis. Now, Denny, because he's been on these roads for 60 plus years, he can overwrite that and say, no, it doesn't make sense to do this. But further, then you simply download those directions, and we have basically a touchscreen iPad, and it will tell you step by step where you need to go, where you need to turn, etc. And we're working to make sure that we are more diligent on this, but there is badging of students so that we know when a student is on that bus, when they leave, for just a measure of safety and accountability.
So somehow that would record on that computer, a badge?
It does. So every time Peyton scans in, I get a notification that she's on the bus, and then she scans off. So a very practical application. One day, my sister's son did not get off the bus. The bus didn't come by, and they didn't realize he had fallen asleep on the bus, and they didn't think he was on the bus because his sister wasn't. So as soon as he wasn't there, she was able to go find the bus on the route and pick him up. Like that was a very like it was totally fine. She was very but it was just worked out really well. Like she could go find the bus. Right.
That would have been a crisis. If you didn't, right?
Yes.
Like you would have panicked.
Right.
If you didn't have
Right. But she knew exactly where the bus was.
So last year was our first full year, and I think that we've seen a lot of benefits from it. And that prime example right there is why we're going to be pretty diligent this year for the badging in and badging off, just for an accountabilities, for a safety measure. And we may get some resistance. Parents might quickly understand the value behind it and be able to support us. But as you're running out the door with your lunch pail and your book bag, we also need to make sure that we also have that badge so that we can making sure that we're doing those processes.
Good.
Great question.
Anybody else?
Let's go home.
Okay, comments to adjourn?
Yeah.
I will second.
Britton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Oh, hang on.
Merritt?
Yes.
Unless you really want to take one.
Yes.
Study it.
Please let me.
And we just made these memories.